Czach here. Welcome back to weekly vlog number 14. A lot has happened since the last vlog post. I had a birthday, so I'm a year older, celebrated another year around the sun, and another trip around the sun, I should say, and ever grateful to be alive and healthy and doing what I love to do, playing the drums, as you see here. Yeah, had a nice dinner with my family, spent way too much money in downtown at a restaurant, but it was a really good meal and good memories from that. So once again, yeah, really just grateful to be alive and to be healthy and to be active and be doing what I'm doing. I'm just, my gosh, I mean, there's so many people in the world who are struggling with their health, or they can't do what they love to do or want to do. And so it's important to keep that in perspective, even on days when you're not feeling like you're doing so well, or you're accomplishing all your goals. So it's just important to keep that perspective and to wake up each morning and just be grateful. It really, yeah. I've been doing a ton of live gigs. Like I said on the last weekly vlog, the string of live gigs has continued, which I'm grateful for. Again, my bank account is grateful for that. It's been good, and I've been having a lot of fun doing all these different sorts of gigs with different people, different styles, different genres, different functions. Let's see, some live gigs that I've done that just sort of stand out in my mind. The first one being this jazz gig I did in Knoxville, which actually I was driving out to when I posted the last weekly vlog. And I hate people that stay in the left lane and just sit there, especially giant buses like that one. Got to the venue, we were playing at the Crown Plaza in Knoxville, and we had rooms there, so I ended up staying overnight. The rest of the band, everybody else drove home after the show, but I just opted to stay the night because I was tired, and the room was really nice, and it was a short drive home in the morning, so there was, I didn't have anything to rush home to get to. I didn't have any other gigs the following day. Did I? Or if I did, it was in the evening. Regardless, it was a nice experience. working with Jaimee and Leif Shires two of my favorite people in town here in Nashville. I love them. I love working with them. They're so talented. And of course, the backing band myself, with Brooke Sutton on bass and John Gallo on guitar. The three of us have worked together a number of times as a rhythm section, backing up Jaimee and Leif. We used to play at Skulls once a week for about a year. So that was, we really developed a rapport with each other and with the arrangements. And so that has continued, and it was just great to get on stage with them and play through some of those arrangements again. We only played a half hour. I think it was a half hour set. Oh my gosh. Took all day to get there, set up, sound check, waiting around for all these people talking. It was some sort of event. I don't remember what it was, but they fed us, and it was very lovely. And we only had to play for half an hour, and then we were done, and then pack it up, and then everybody was sent on their way, and it was great. And even made a little bit more money than we thought we were going to. So, gosh, I wish they were all like that. Not the case. Anyway, let's see. I did, prior to that, gig in Knoxville, I did another gig in Knoxville, a classic rock gig with an old friend of mine, Steve Rutledge. Steve has a band called Liquid Velvet, which is sort of a classic rock review. And they do all sorts of classic rock songs, cover songs from Journey and Toto and Kansas and Heart. There's a male and female singer, and it's pretty rockin', gotta say. Love working with Steve. When I first moved to town, I got hooked up with Steve through George Lawrence, who I guess at the time was playing with Steve, and he recommended me to start subbing for George and playing with Steve. And so for, I don't know, a number of months, maybe almost part of a whole year, I used to drive to Knoxville and work with Steve in his classic rock band. It wasn't called Liquid Velvet at the time; it was called something else. But so Steve has this new project called Liquid Velvet, and new members in the band and whatnot. And anyway, so it was just a great time. We was an outdoor stage, a pretty large stage, playing at this parking lot at the Harley Davidson Center in Knoxville. Unfortunately, it was very rainy that day, so the turnout was pretty slim. Although I was glad to see that it actually did stop raining for just in time for our performance, so people were able to sit and stand and watch us play in front of the stage. There was a covering over on the side where people were sort of hiding from the rain over there earlier in the day, but they were able to come out and join us on stage, not on stage, but in front of the stage. And we were able to play for at least a mighty but small audience. In any case, it was a lot of fun. There was an opening band there. I don't remember their names, but I do remember meeting the drummer of that band. His name is Keith Livingston, and he was a very, very nice guy. He had this big, huge drum kit, and he has since subscribed to me on Patreon. So thank you, Keith. And we've gotten in touch through social media. So shameless plug, if you're not on my Patreon page, if you're not a Patreon member, or if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's a subscriber-based website where I and many other patrons and Patreon members, we upload videos and lessons and instructionals and career advice and all sorts of we just offer I offer my services to this website, which is it's behind a paywall, of course, and there are multiple tiers: $5, $10, and I think $25 is the highest tier, which I haven't had a member yet join for that, but hopefully one day, if you're feeling generous. Would love to have you as a subscriber, though. There's tons of video content, and something that Keith was interested in. He took special interest in my click in-ear station that I have, that's in a Pelican style case, and I've got a metronome and a mixer, and I have a pedal to control the metronome, so I can turn on and off the click as I'm playing, just with my feet. And I was sort of showing him that, and so that's just one example of part of the content that I offer there for $5 a month. Less than a price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. I gotta say, it's a deal of a lifetime. So, shameless plug: Patreon.com/Brian Czach. Patreon.com. I'll write it. Blah blah blah. So the gig was a lot of fun. It went pretty well, considering I didn't know a couple of the tunes, or like they called a couple of tunes that I like on the spot that I was like, there was one Fleetwood Mac tune that I didn't know it by title, but once we started playing it, I sort of recognized it. So it was all good. A lot of fun though, and good band. I've been doing a bunch of corporate style gigs with Burning Las Vegas, and still trying to learn the ropes with that band. It is more than challenging to work with this band for multiple reasons. There's no click. There's no way for me to run a click on anything. I have some charts written out, although the pace of the show, and I use the term show loosely, the pace of the performance is so quick and so fast that I don't really have time to even pull up the chart on my iPad, and it's right there, next to me. But I just don't have. There's literally not even 5 seconds of time where I'm not playing. In the course of a 2-hour set, there's no time for me to dial something up, because I'm just constantly going, and 2 arms and 2 legs just flailing, trying to keep it all together. So everything kind of has to be memorized, which, I admit I'm not the best at that. It takes me a while to have things sink in, and maybe that's just because I'm, having gone to school for music, and I'm just so used to being able to read things and not having to really sort of internalize. Although I'm kind of hesitating at hearing myself say this out loud because it doesn't sound right. But my point is, when I read something, I don't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily stick in my brain. So it really takes me having to practice something over and over and over without looking at a chart of any kind for it to really start to sink in. Sometimes I'll do that in the studio, if I'm working on a song to record, if I have the time, if the song is the right type of song or the right form, if it's not too complicated, I will try to internalize it, because you do play differently when you have something memorized versus when you're reading it. I won't say one is better than the other. I'll just say that they're different. And this is just my experience, and maybe you have a different experience. I don't know. But, when I'm reading something, I can convince everybody in the room and everybody that's listening that I have this memorized, because I can, my training is such that I can read it in a way that is so convincing that you'd never know that I'm reading it. And that's really the ultimate goal when learning to read music, is being able to read whatever it is so well that you fool everybody in the room into thinking that you know this piece, like inside and out, memorized. So, but I'll have to say, when I do have something memorized, it might change my approach a little bit, or it might allow me to focus in on some different things that maybe I wouldn't focus in on if I was reading it, because of the mental process that's going on while reading, the actual reading of the chart, the task of reading the chart and what your brain is sort of doing. Imagine if you have a speech and you're reading the speech versus having the speech memorized. There's going to be different nuances in both styles. And again, there's not one right or wrong way, and there's not one that's better than the other per se. It's objective. And so anyway, it's an interesting thing. I don't even remember why I started talking about that, the reading thing. Oh, the Burning Las Vegas, the wedding band thing. Yeah, that's right. Gosh, foggy brain. And to think I had today off, which was lovely, by the way. It was so nice to have the day off. I've got my tracksuit on, messy haircut, messy hairdo, and, spectacles, because I didn't feel like wearing my contacts today, and just, had a nice day at home, not having to go anywhere or do anything or dress up or anything of the sort. Didn't play the drums at all today, even though I have some practicing to do this week. And I'll get to the reason why in a second. But yeah, I just needed a day off is really what it was. So I watched some baseball playoffs, and ate some crappy food. And yeah, just had a nice relaxing day to myself. And it was lovely, I gotta say. I'm practicing. As you see here, I think you see here in the shot, I have my bop kit set up. 18-inch bass drum, 12 14-inch toms, standard bop sizes. This is my Yamaha Maple Custom drum kit that I bought in Long Island, Drum Center back when I lived in New York. Got a killer deal on this kit way back when I lived there. It was a used kit. I have a 10-inch tom and a matching snare as well. When I bought this kit, it also had a 22-inch kick, which I'm kicking myself for not buying that, because that would have been neat to have as an option. But nevertheless, this is an amazing kit. They haven't made, Yamaha hasn't made these kits since the 90s. And in my opinion, this is the best kit that Yamaha ever made. The Maple Custom with the gold lugs, as you see here. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but down here. And they're really thick shells, very heavy shells. This 18-inch bass drum possibly weighs more than some of my 22-inch kick drums, just because of the shell thickness. It's again, maple. The shells are made out of maple. They just sing. They're punchy. They sing. They're quality drums made in Japan. And even if I were to sign with a new company, I'm not sure if I'd have it in me to be able to get rid of these, because again, they're just so rare, and especially in these conditions. I have as I said, the matching snare drum. Geez, and if I did sell them, I could probably get a hefty price for them. So, we'll see. But for now, this is what I have. I love it. Working on my Canopus NV50 M1 snare drum. I love this thing. It's 3 plies, maple gum maple, straight brass hoops. The mother of pearl here finish, and just a great jazz drum, and just a great drum in general. It doesn't have to be jazz. I've played sessions, backbeat sessions on this drum too. Just amazing. So the reason why I have all this set up here and I've been practicing is because I have a milestone show this Friday at Rudy's Jazz Room here in Nashville, Friday night, 8 p.m. So if you're in Nashville this week, make sure you go to Rudy's Jazz Room, Friday night, 8 p.m. to see Milestones, tribute to Miles Davis. It's my band. I came up with this concept. It's basically paying homage to Miles Davis music, focused on the 2 great quintets that Miles led in the late 50s and early to mid 60s. But we play songs from other periods as well, jumping around a bit from pre-Great Quintet and a little bit of post-Great Quintet as well, and ever expanding. I'll be debuting 2 new songs, 2 new arrangements this performance, this Friday, which I'm very excited about. I've worked very hard and continue to work hard, especially on one of the arrangements, which is I'm still working on just the little details, just finalizing things that I've been made aware of with the help of my friend Brian, who plays sax in the band. Brian he's helping me out a little bit with some of the sax parts that are in this one song. I'm not going to say what song it is. I should tell you. It's 2 Bass Hit from the Milestones record. 2 Bass Hit is one of the songs I'll be debuting. And I've always wanted to play this song because it's such a great drum feature. It features Philly Joe Jones on the drums, and I love his style of playing. And so I've been practicing all these Philly Joe Jones licks. I have these transcriptions up on the music stand. And Philly Joe Jones, if you don't know, he's a very, very rudimental style of drumming, very bebop, vocabulary oriented. For my money, some of the hippest stuff played on a drum kit ever. Philly Joe Jones was so darn hip and so slick and such just hands for days, slicker than just so bad, man. Just bad to the bone. I'm trying not to swear here and use like cuss words, but yeah, Philly Joe Jones. So I'm working up all these different all this different vocabulary that Philly Joe Jones used in his soloing and also in his time feel and his comping and such, and really trying to get inside of his head and try to achieve that type of sound. As I said, it's very rudimental. It's a lot of triplety kind of Ergonomic style licks on the snare or on the kit, and I wish I could play some of it for you right now, but it's pretty late at night. It's like almost like it's like 10:30 p.m. right now, and I don't ever play the drums past like 7 p.m. just out of courtesy for my neighbors and of course my family as well. So here I am. I'm in my home studio, if you didn't know that. So yeah, but maybe tomorrow I'll come over here and play through some things and include some video in the vlog post here. All right, so here's an example of some of the bebop vocabulary material that Philly Joe Jones played on the song Two Bass Hit. This will be the solo, the drum break that's coming out of the head going into the solo section on the song Two Bass Hit off of the Milestones record. All right, it's moving really fast, so hopefully I get this right. It's about here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. That's it. So you see this vocabulary, it's very triplety. Now on this session that Philly Joe Jones played on the session for the record, he only had one cymbal, kick, snare, floor tom, and hat. There was no rack tom. There were no other cymbals, to my knowledge. That's what the photo shows, and so keep that in mind when I'm trying to honor that and not play the rack tom in any of my solos. Although we'll see what happens. But if I'm being really honest and sincere and trying to accurately depict what Philly Joe Jones would have played, or at least somewhat, derived from what he played, that's what I would go with. So yeah, there you go. In any case, get your tickets Friday night, 8 p.m., Rudy's Jazz Room, Milestones, and don't miss out. This will be the last show of the year because I'll be going on the road starting in November until the end of December, basically until the end of the year. So this will be the last show of the year for Milestones, and then I'll start working again, booking more shows beginning of next year in January. So stay tuned for all that. I wanted to say, I was watching some video of myself performing the other day, and I've been like getting some back pain, a little bit of back pain in some of these gigs, and noticing like not only back pain but like hip flexor pain, like right in this area, like in the front, like right at the top of my leg, right around here, and I was watching this video and I was noticing that my stool like went down, and it was lower than I typically would normally set it, because I noticed that my hip was pretty much parallel with my knee in the floor. And it's kind of, you don't want that. And you certainly don't want your knee to be up above your hip flexor, because that's even worse for your back, your lower back and your hip flexor. It's always the right side that hurts for me, because it's the kick drum side. And so I made a point to make sure that I raised my stool up by maybe an inch, inch and a half, maybe even 2 inches. I'm not sure. I didn't measure it. I think I spun the spindle 3 times. So however far up that goes is how much I raised the stool by. And I noticed that I was sitting up higher. My posture was instantly better. My back felt better, and my hip flexor felt better. And I played a long gig on Saturday night with the higher stool, and I didn't have any pain that evening, and I felt stronger and better. So just some words of wisdom there to you drummers, and really piano players, anybody who sits down while playing your long gigs, your 3-4 hour gigs. Make sure your hip flexors are above your knee so that your legs are sort of they go down like this. They're not parallel with the floor. And then similarly, I'm making sure that my ankle is not directly underneath my knee. So I want my ankle to be just slightly out further. So I'm having all these obtuse angles going down from hip flexor and the knee to the ankle. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you kind of want like this. You don't want that, or worse, that. So if this were your body, the rest of your body, and this is your hips right here, and this is your knee right here, you want it to be like this, not like this. All right? So just some ergonomics, posture stuff going on there. It will help you, trust me. No pain, all right? We don't want any pain. That whole saying with no pain, no gain, yeah, that's not true. Don't listen to that. That's an old term from the 80s that doesn't exist. We don't use that. Last night I was asked to play drums for the Establishment Rehearsal Band, which is this big band that rehearses every Monday evening here in Nashville. And it's a rehearsal band, which means it's a reading band. So it's a big band that gets together. So 4 horns, 4 trombones, 4 saxes, I don't know, maybe 5 saxes. I didn't count. Full rhythm section. And there's a bajillion charts that they have. And they just pick and choose whatever charts they want to read. They're all numbered. You gotta open this big road case box, and they're just filled with, like, I don't know, 600, 800 charts or whatever's in there. All paper charts, you know. So they're all like bent up and folded up and like coffee stains and all kind of mangled up in there. The tape, some of them are taped, some of them used to be taped, so they're all falling apart. Some of them are all folded up. It's kind of a mess, but it's old school, super old school. It reminds me of being like a kid in high school, and you know, like this is how things used to be, like way back in the big band era. And it sort of reminds me of the cruise ship days where they had these dance bands, and you know, they'd call out, okay, pull out chart 273, pull out chart 154, you know, and you're just kind of like thumbing through, and you put your charts in order. Old school. We don't do that anymore with iPads. With iPads, it's so easy. It's like, you know, you just kind of drag and drop, beep, 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 you know, look it up by title. They're already in alphabetical order. It's really, really so easy now, and thankfully so. But yeah, so anyway, played this rehearsal band, and it's like sight reading, nothing but sight reading. I mean, it's very, very challenging. Some of this music is very difficult to read, especially just sight reading. You don't have any time to look at this chart or practice it in any way. You really barely have enough time to set your music out on the stand. One of the songs was 8 pages long, and it wasn't even taped. So I've got individual pieces of paper I'm trying to manage on 2 music stands while keeping time and keeping my place and set up the hits and so on and so forth. It's definitely not easy to do, but it's fun. It's really fun, and challenging, as I said. You're not gonna, I mean, outside of this, I don't know of any professional situation really where you're getting reading challenges like this. Really, it's hard to come by these days because nobody really reads on a gig anymore. Nobody writes out big band charts. Where are you going to play in a big, unless you're touring with a big band like one of these, ghost bands, the Tommy Dorsey band or the Glenn Miller band or Thad Jones or whatever. Maybe you're a drummer in New York and you play with the Thad Jones Mel Lewis band, but you probably have most of that stuff memorized anyway if you're working with them at the Vanguard. That is if they even still play at the Vanguard. I don't even know. Anyway, I digress. It was a lot of fun. We played all these different, some of these tunes were pretty fast swinging stuff. There's definitely some solo breaks, drum solo breaks that I got to play. I'll show some of that footage. Some of it was great. Some of it, there's definitely a lot of mistakes, myself included. But I feel like, I did a good job, and the general consensus feedback that I got from the other horn players and rhythm section players is they're really glad to have me there, and they feel like I'm doing a great job. So, or maybe even more than a great job. I think they're thrilled to have me, which is a great feeling. I don't want to do myself a disservice or sort of undercut myself, if you will. I can't, I'm on a high when I come out of there, and hopefully everyone else is too. And I'm just trying to keep up and read the notes and play as musically as possible. I took some video of it. One thing I noticed just from watching the video today is that I need to work on just laying back some more. Now, I will say this, that this particular big band really struggles with faster tempos and keeping time, like in general. There's one song in particular where I didn't come in until the fifth bar. My part had 4 bars of rest, and the tune was counted off, and the whole thing just fell on its face because it just, the time just literally like died like that. So all you horn players and all you non-drummers out there, you can't always just count on the drummer to keep time. It's up to you to keep time. You are a timekeeper also, especially if you have eighth notes or quarter notes or any sort of pulsing rhythmic style. If you're holding out whole notes, that's different. But if you have any sort of rhythmic figures whatsoever, you need to keep time and listen when the tune is counted off. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that pulse, and really listen for that pulse. As soon as the count off starts, as soon as somebody starts snapping, even before they count it off. A lot of times I'll do this, or I'll be with the sticks or on the brushes, and I'll be like, I haven't counted off yet. I'm just giving you the pulse. Or it might be like, all right, here we go, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but this puts everybody, that gives everybody like, it makes everybody listen for that pulse. Or if it's a triplet thing, 1, 2, well, before I count it off, 1, right. We ready? Everybody ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and you're in. So, as a horn player, as a non-drummer, as a bass player, piano, guitar, whatever, singer even, listen for the count off. The count off matters. There's a reason for the count off. Otherwise, we would just say ready, set, go. It seems like sometimes that is what I'm saying because nobody's listening to the count off. So listen to the count off. Make it count. Make it, yeah, sounds obvious, right? It's called the count off for a reason. But make it matter. The count off does matter. The count off is everything. And I make it a point to even, it's funny, like I started doing this many, many years ago because I was struggling too, because I would something would get counted off by the MD or the band leader or whatever, and inherently the tempo would drift, and it would go faster or slower or whatever. It didn't matter. The point is, it drifted off into something else. And after being not only scolded for that a number of times, but also hearing myself back through video or recording or whatever it was, I could hear myself drifting from the original tempo. And I told myself, okay, so the next time I'm in this situation where somebody else is counting off the tune, I'm going to take almost like a mental recording of their voice counting off the song. And at various points during the song, while I'm playing that song, I'm going to play back that voice counting off the tune. And hopefully they'll match. And the idea is that the tune has not moved tempo-wise. So it's just something that I do mentally that I worked on like 25 years ago. I started doing this when I was like in my early 20s. And so this has worked for me. I take a mental recording of the voice of the person who's counting off the song. And again, during the song, I'll play it back in my head. I'll play back the voice of that song. Is it the same? Does it sound and does it feel the same as it did 2 minutes ago when the song was counted off? So just something that I do that helps me to stay on point. And this is especially true when you're not running a click. Obviously, if you're running a click, it's a non-issue because you're just following the click, and the click's not going to move. Whether you move or not, the click stays the same. So, but this applies to more live type playing where you're not playing to a click, and you're just sort of, you as the drummer are the timekeeper, the main timekeeper. But really, everybody in the band is a timekeeper, because if the drums drop out, the whole thing should be able to keep going without you, and that's a telltale sign. And oftentimes you'll hear in bands and amateur bands, if the drummer drops out, the whole thing inherently will always dip. It'll always sort of die in tempo. So, yeah. Some good news. My new drums have definitely arrived in Omaha. I'm so excited to be playing a Canopus drum kit for the upcoming Mannheim Steamroller Tour here in 2023. It is a Canopus Yaiba Birch kit. It is a large drum kit with the sizes 10, 12, 13, 14, 16-inch toms, 22-inch kick, and a 14 by 6.5-inch snare. I'll also be playing brand new Istanbul Agop cymbals on the tour, which I'm so excited and thrilled about, as well as some new accessories, pedals, and what have you. So I'm very, very excited to show you all of that. It's coming up in the next few weeks. I'll be able to show you that very, very soon, when rehearsal week begins, beginning of November. And last but not least, I was able to try out some new microphones. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in an earlier vlog post or not, but I was able to try out some new microphones that my neighbor who lives across the street owns, and he let me borrow them for about 2 weeks or so. And my favorite part of what he let me borrow were the Roswell, I'm going to get this wrong, the Roswell Mini K67, I think is what it's called. I'm showing a picture of it right now. Don't hurt me if I get that model number wrong. The Mini K67X or something like this. They're wonderful. I was using them as overhead mics. They're wonderful for that purpose, and as well as probably many other purposes, although I didn't really get a chance to use them on anything else like voice or piano or guitar or whatever, but I'm sure it would excel on any of those applications and then some. But as overhead mics, they're excellent. They provide a little bit of color. My normal go-to overhead mics are the Earthworks SR25s, which are somewhat new to me also still. Ben, if you're listening, I'll pay you very soon for those mics. I still haven't paid for them. My friend Ben Hale let me have these mics for a pretty ridiculous price, but I still haven't paid him, and I'm sorry, Ben, but I promise I'll get that money to you. I have it in a separate account. It's just waiting to be sent to you. I love you, Ben. Anyway, so that's where we're at. That's it for the weekly vlog. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I teach drum lessons. If you want to hit me up for drum lessons, either here in Nashville in person or online through Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever software is in style this week, go to my website, brianczach.com, BRIANCZACH.com, and book a lesson there. Just send me an email and I will get it. It'll go right to my phone, and we will start a dialogue. We'll start to talk about what your goals are and what you want to learn and study, and what kind of direction you want to head in. Don't forget patreon.com/brianczach. And that's it for today's weekly vlog. Stick around for more videos. I did upload a couple of videos from my live playing the past few days, a couple of gigs that I mentioned earlier before. I posted full songs on, so check those out when you're done with this video. Thank you, and I will see you on the next video. Take care, guys.